Hey, how's it going everyone? I hope you're all having a blessed day. My name is Jay Padilla, and in this video I'm going to be telling you guys 7 more mistakes that beginner artists and some experienced artists make and how you can avoid doing the same. Now this video is part 2 to my original video of 7 mistakes to avoid as a beginner artist. So if you haven't seen that one, then give it a look after this video. Now the mistakes I will list in this video may not apply to every beginner artist, but they are very common pitfalls you can walk right into if you're not aware of them. So with that being said, let's jump right into the first mistake. Now I know if you're just starting out in your art journey, you may feel like your current skill level you're at, your art isn't good enough to show off to other people, and especially online. But here's why I believe no matter what skill level your art is at, it's a good idea to just start posting and sharing your art, because even if it's small now, if you continue to build on your skills, people can see where you started and how far you've come. And it can be inspiring for them to know that no matter what skill level you start at, with enough drive, ambition, and dedication, anyone can become a great artist. It is also beneficial for yourself, so when you think you haven't made much progress, you aren't growing as an artist, you can look back at where you were and see how far you've come and motivate yourself to keep going. Because even though it may not seem like it, you can and will get better. You can't let the fear of people judging your art skills and trying to discourage you stop you from pursuing your passion for art. Just keep your eyes focused on your goals, and eventually people will begin to take notice and support you, which leads into my next point. When it comes to your art, you have a sort of connection with it. You spent so much time, energy, and love into creating something that you are very proud of. So that is why this mistake is so prominent in beginner artists, because it's difficult to have someone poke holes and point out the flaws in your artwork, because it feels like all of those inadequacies are a reflection on you. But you have to learn to separate yourself from who you are as a person and your art. You are not your art. So when someone is pointing out mistakes or shortcomings in your artwork, doesn't mean you yourself are not good enough to be an artist. You need to ask for feedback in order to grow thick skin, so in the future when someone is giving you constructive feedback on your art, you don't take it to heart. You listen to what they say and you make adjustments where you see that they are necessary. Now you don't just take feedback from any and everybody. There are some who will give you feedback on your art, but in reality, it's just mean-spirited jabs towards your art trying to discourage you. And most of the time, the people who say those things don't really know what they're talking about, because they themselves aren't even in the artistic realm. So when you go to get feedback, make sure it's from someone you trust first and foremost, and who is actually in a position that you yourself are striving towards. Over time, you'll be able to discern what is actual constructive feedback from someone who wants to see you grow, and what is a troll or mean-spirited person who is projecting their own failings onto you to make themselves feel better. Do not fall for this trap. This is a mistake I used to struggle with all the time, and even now, I still have days where I struggle with it. Many times when an artist wants to get better, they go looking for ways to do so, and they hear the same tip of drawing every day, which isn't in itself a bad thing. But if you're trying to draw fully completed artworks every day with no time to rest, then 9 times out of 10, you're gonna burn yourself out creatively, which will put you into a creative slump where you don't want to draw anything or have anything to do with art, which could last for a very long time and will result in you actually hurting yourself more than helping. That is why it's important to set aside time so that you can recharge your creative batteries, so art doesn't feel like a chore or something you have to do like a job, but instead feels like every day you get to draw is a day you get to do what you love. Now you need to be careful though. My suggestion is every week take at least 1 or 2 days off from art and indulge yourself in the things that inspired you to become an artist in the first place. That way, when your break is over, you're even more fired up to get back to drawing instead of dreading having to draw every single day just to get some mediocre art finish. I touched on this subject in my video on how to improve your art skills, which I will leave a link to at the end of this video, but you need to have boundaries and rules to your breaks, because if you take too long of a break, you'll eventually get comfortable and not be as focused on your art anymore and slow down your progress. It's good to take breaks, but make sure you do them in moderation. Let me clarify what I mean about unimportant details. So for example, you're working on some background art for a comic book and you're on a deadline. You wouldn't draw characters interacting in the windows of the buildings behind your main characters, or say you're doing a character illustration. You don't need to spend hours working on the strands on a character's hair or every single detail in your character's eyes. If you're creating a piece of art for yourself and you want to add in these little details because it makes you happy, then by all means, go for it. But if you're working, you need to prioritize what is needed and what is not. You want to be as efficient as possible and not waste your time on something that only you will notice. You have to have your priorities in order to stay efficient. This mistake honestly doesn't apply to just beginners. A lot of artists, whether they're just starting out or are pros, can fall into the mistake and quite easily. So say you have a vision in your head of what you want to create. You see it so vividly, but when you actually sit down to draw it, it doesn't match the idea that you had in your head. So you try to fix it. You spend hours working on a single piece of art, and before you know it, you've lost an entire day trying to fix mistakes on one drawing, when you could have moved on and gotten so much more done. I know it can be frustrating to have an idea and wanting it to be realized so badly that you put everything else aside to get it done, but you need to be able to know when it's time to stop and move on, because if you continuously get hung up on making sure every single drawing you create is perfect, then you will inadvertently cause yourself to be less efficient than everybody else because you get so little done over long periods of time. Perfectionism is not a good trait to have because no matter what you do, nothing is ever going to be perfect. Unless it's Avatar: The Last Airbender. You will need to learn how to accept some things as they are now and move on. And if you feel inclined, you can always revisit that piece of art and redo it when your skills reach the level necessary to make your vision a reality. Now this is geared toward all the artists who are looking to turn art into a career. If you just like to do art in your spare time because it's something that brings you peace and it's a hobby for you, then this most likely will not apply to you. But if you really want to be able to sustain yourself as an artist, then you will need to create a portfolio showcasing your artwork. Now in the future, I will go over how to create a portfolio that is best suited for the career path that you are planning to go into. But for now, I will say that a portfolio can mean many things. You can post your art on Instagram, and that can be a portfolio in itself. I've seen many people get job offers based off of their Instagram accounts. I've even gotten a few freelance jobs from Instagram as well. But the most effective portfolio you can make is your own personalized website showcasing the best of your art and ways in which to contact you for potential employers. To end out this video, the last mistake artists can make is not valuing themselves or their artwork. Just because your art doesn't look like the popular pros out there doesn't mean it has no value. You can't let people take advantage of you because you're new to this arena, because there are people who will try. You need to look at your art from an objective viewpoint and determine how much your time and energy is worth to you and how much you believe your art is worth for potential customers. Now, you don't want to inflate your ego and overcharge your art because it has a lot of meaning to you. I understand your art is precious to you, but you also want to be realistic about what people will actually be willing to pay for your services. I've had many people ask for artwork, and when I told them the cost of it, they tried to negotiate and say, well, they'll post the art on their story and give me some exposure. Sir, you have 50 followers and no posts. What kind of exposure can you give me? No matter whether you're a beginner or a pro, your time and energy is worth something, and don't let anyone try to convince you otherwise. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it and learned something from it, then be sure to let me know by leaving a like and comment down below any mistakes you yourself have done or have seen others do. I know I didn't get them all, so let's try to help out all the artists who are looking to improve themselves. If you like my videos and you want to see more from me, then do consider subscribing to the channel and ring that notification bell so you'll be aware when I upload any and everything. And I will see you all next time.